Hey everybody, welcome. This is the ECS Hangout. This is the every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk about all the facets of the car community. If you run a shop, if you race, whatever, we'd love to have you on. We're sponsored by Control Freaks. That's controlfreakcompany.com. And we're on Facebook, IG, YouTube, Twitter, all the major social platforms out there. Check us out. We are there. Today's topic is a really kind of cool one, and we're going to talk about stereotypes in custom vehicles. And the starting off as always with our great hosts here. First of all, I am Primo, and I basically kind of play mediator between all these crazy people that I have on. And second to my right over here is Reggie of ECS Magazine. How's it going today, Reggie?
Not bad, not bad.
Good. Did you guys doing okay with the heat?
I'm survived.
Yeah, it's very hot. But and then over a little bit further over, we got Vinny. Say hello, introduce yourself, and let everybody know what you're about, buddy.
Currently vacation,
Lucky you.
so up in the mountains of New Hampshire. Took the kids to Storyland and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, I'm so if I'm cutting out or anything, it's because Wi-Fi in the woods. But yeah, no, Vinny of Creeps Car Club, and just here to hang out.
Cool. And what's the temp like up there?
It was 94 today, as we were walking around Storyland.
Wow. Right. But
Nice-
that's
nice,
is it
cool
is it
94.
muggy or is it dry?
Actually, no, it's not too bad. It's honestly not too muggy out.
Yeah.
I just showed. I'm outside right now, sitting, and it's pretty comfortable out here. So
Good.
no, it's not bad up here.
Good. And we got somebody new to the ECS Hangout motif here. Welcome, my buddy Donnie. What's going on? Introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're all about. And definitely hit up your channel.
Yeah. My name's Donnie. I'm down in Rhode Island. I've done a couple videos with Alan before. I usually get him to drive something he's definitely never driven. I've given him, I think, both of his right-hand drive experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Japanese car guy, but I'm just a car guy in general. I got respect for everything. Huge Tri-5 Chevy guy. I mean, in the Northeast, I'm pretty much I'm very fairly well known. I drive a Mark IV Supra. It's currently just going under the knife.
Is that the white one?
It's black. It's
Oh,
a
right,
black
never mind.
hardtop.
Never mind. Sorry,
The
sorry
white
to interrupt.
one's no, the white one's Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Andrew out of Somerset. We all know each other. I'm a manager up at a dealership in Warwick. We specialize in import cars for the most part, but we'll do just about anything.
Perfect. And so right now you're actually working on, what is it? It's a 240 SX project on your channel?
Yep. Over on my YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Donnie Tsunami. I've been building a cheap 240 SX. I originally wanted to spend probably about 10 grand, so I didn't have to work on one. God knows that didn't happen. I literally got one handed to me for 3 grand, and it's been a nightmare since. If you guys want to go check it out, feel free.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
I will, because we'll have to link up too, because I'm in the process of putting something together. So I don't want to get too much into it and steal time away from this, but yeah, no, Donnie Tsunami, you said, and I
Yep.
can get your info from Alan anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Alan
Yeah.
will even hook you up directly with me.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I want to hear a little bit. What is this plan you have here, Vinny? I want you to take a little bit.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I want to hear it too.
well, I mean, it's I don't want to say sad story, but
Okay.
well, I'm a car guy, have always been a car guy, but I'm also losing my vision
Yes.
to a rare retinal disease called retinitis. So with losing my vision, obviously, in the next couple of years, I will be losing my ability to drive because it is a non-curable disease. So I've actually, in the works, came up with some logos and did the page. It hasn't gone live yet because I don't have any videos, but I'm starting a YouTube channel called Life in the Passenger Seat, where I basically go to, like, I mean, I'm in the Creeps Car Club. I know a lot of people with hot rods. So I was going to kind of leverage a little bit of them too. But basically, somebody with a car, have them talk about the car, interview them, do a full video on the car, and then go for a ride in the passenger seat with the cameras rolling, kind of thing. So that's my idea. That's
I really like it. I support
the,
it 100%.
the story in the nutshell. So just
I
a
like
way
it.
to still be around the car community, even though in a few years I might be walking with a white cane.
Yeah. Well, I know that me and Donnie are both dying. I think the car I'd want to bring for it would be the 944. So as soon as I
Yeah.
get that back,
I mean,
I think that would be perfect.
even the Genesis. I mean,
Mhm.
anything. I mean, yes, I'm a hot rod guy,
I'll take you
but
for a ride.
I'm an
anytime.
automotive guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
I just especially the right-hand drive thing, because it'd be kind of cool to walk up to like the passenger side
life
of a
in the
car
driver's seat
and
for
be
you.
like, "Hey, all right, cool."
Yep. No,
So
and I'd love to see that. That would be awesome.
yeah.
I could probably get you in quite a few different things.
Yeah.
Over at work, we specialize in a lot of right-hand drive and imported stuff, but anything high-end in sports car, we got a DB9 Aston on the lot right now. So I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff, and I 100% bet you that my boss will be willing to support all that.
Cool.
Look at that. Now you got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we got a new person that has joined right now. Introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're about.
Oh, I'm old Denny Mac. Was in the car club scene. I'm good friends with Reggie. We've been knowing each other, 12, almost 13 years now?
Seems longer than that.
Yeah. Been customizing cars since, I don't know, early 2000s.
What's
And,
your favorite car?
well, it's still my Jeep that I had, but I finally got rid of it. It's the only one I've actually been able to blow the head gasket in 3 times and keep driving it.
Sounds like a 4-liter.
Vinny,
It was.
Vinny, you got a Jeep engine you're working on right now, don't you?
Yeah, I got a 4.0 that I'm attempting to shoehorn into a 53 Plymouth. So we'll see how that
Nice.
goes. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, he gets crazy. So but
Yeah.
Cousin Cletus Automotive made a comment. Hey, cousins. Hey, how's it going? So I just want to remind everybody, too, that there's a comment section. If you guys put any kind of posts in both the YouTube, the Facebook, or any of those social media things, it'll be a question that'll come up to our right. And obviously, it'll be something that anybody in our panel here would, I'm hoping, be happy to answer. So, but yeah. So, like I said, back to the topic that we were talking about is the stereotyping of custom vehicles. One of the problems that I always ran into was, especially when I had I had a 2001 Toyota Celica. It was lowered. It had 18 or 19-inch wheels or something like that. And it was something that I used to drive all the time. And I constantly got pulled over in that car. And the funny thing was I was working for a dealership at the time, and I'm wearing a suit. So I get pulled over, and then the cop would walk up and he'd look over and he'd see this guy in a suit. And I think it totally threw him from what the expectations of what he was going to see in that suit. So a lot of times we get these things, and I'd end up going to court, and I'd win all the battles because there wasn't really anything about it that was really, they really didn't have much when they pulled me over. I think it was more that maybe they thought I was causing trouble or something like that. But it's always been something that kind of bothered me about it, was that I think with certain cars, there's certain expectations of troublemaking or that kind of thing. So I want to ask everybody else what your experiences are and kind of, elaborate on some things. In other words, let us know how you feel about it. And whoever in here wants to start it off with it, let me know and hit it up.
Denny Mac.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen it go both ways. I've seen both sides of that coin.
Mm-hmm.
And especially being from the East Coast from Georgia and South Carolina down to Florida, I've actually seen it go both ways, especially being a part of a car club and the whole car club culture. I've seen it where, yes, I got pulled over all the time, and I've seen it where it was more of I get pulled over because they want to check it out too.
Mm-hmm.
versus some places where we've been, we got pulled over because of the car club logo being on the car. It wasn't so much of the customization, it was just the car club logo.
Right.
Because we did the whole prospect thing like a lot of car clubs do, but we actually put the background of their sticker so we knew who was who. So we had a lot of prospects getting pulled over just because of that sticker. It wasn't that anything had already been done to their car. And even the ones that the cars were done to, we went down to Myrtle Beach for a car show. We got pulled over because it was at night and we were leaving one place going to another place. To Reggie, you were going to remember those Myrtle Beach Hooters when they kicked all of us out of the parking lot at a car show that they was hosting because of the customized cars and the sound systems and everything that they wanted there.
Nice. So did you feel like that they constantly looked out for you, or was it something where it just kind of happened? Did they kind of follow you around, or did it?
There's some places where there has been cops that just followed us around, waiting and hoping we're going to do something.
Right.
To getting one of our members got pulled over because they thought he was part of a motorcycle gang.
Wow.
Because they were trying to find something. But it's every city was different. Some places we went to, we got accepted with open arms. Some places you went to, oh, well, you got a blue light underneath your vehicle.
Yeah.
From a ground go kit that was LED and the bulb was broke and nobody knew. It's something you don't see during the daytime, but they decided to do driver license checkpoint and there's a blue bulb, one single blue bulb. Oh, we're going to write you a ticket.
Yep.
To, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else does it do?
Right. Well, Vinny, you still connected over there? Oh, I can see you moving. You were so solid right there. I was just like, is he still connected? Like, that was great, man. Like a statue. Mark Evans says he is tuned in. Welcome to the show, Mark. Now, obviously, you're in the hot rod community. I used to do that all the time. I didn't get pulled over as much back in the days when I was driving a muscle car than I was driving an import tuner car. How do you feel now with the current thing with hot rods, and how are you mostly accepted, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of the times I hear people getting pulled over in hot rods or muscle cars. It's because the officer or somebody wanted to check out the car, like what was it, Donnie? Is that what he was saying? Yeah, I mean, I've also gone to a couple of the parking lot meets where it's a lot of import guys, and I'm like maybe one of 3 or 4 hot rods there, and we kind of got roped in a little bit with the burnouts and everything, because I mean, they are. I mean, you start them up, they're loud. My truck has no mufflers on it, open headers right out of the front fenders. It's loud. It's going to get looked at, but I'll be honest with you, I've never gotten pulled over, and I drive by cops every time I drive the truck. So, but I'll guarantee if I was in a Honda Civic or a Volkswagen Jetta or something along those lines with no muffler on it, I'd have a stack of I'd have a stack of tickets. So I mean, there obviously is some sort of stereotype. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and say, get on the ball, because then I'll start getting pulled over.
Right, exactly.
That'll be the imports.
Yeah.
Coming from the import side, I see that 24/7.
Right. I mean,
especially myself, 90% of my cars that I drive are right-hand drive. Right. So if I'm running by a cop, they're immediately behind me. They're running the plate. Anything that I can do to get pulled over, they're going to pull me over for.
Yep.
In my experience, what I've learned is, don't be an idiot. And you're usually okay. But I've been pulled over for countless, stupid small things. That's the same thing. A little light out that you didn't know about, I got pulled over for going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, and 9 times out of 10 they want an import document or something because they don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
They don't need any of that. The car, all of that's through the DMV. They take all that paperwork when you register the vehicle. So when they don't know, they just kind of assume the worst.
Right. And that's the thing is, this happened with me is I felt that, you know, with the European car, with any of the other stuff, muscle cars, with the truck, a lot of that stuff I get ignored. But when it comes to kind of the Celica, the Eclipse, all those cars, they got pulled over. I mean, I got pulled over once in the Eclipse, and it was just, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just driving down the street, and he pulled me over, and then he was like, oh, you know, this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, the other thing that makes me wonder is not just from the police side of it, because not just that, but like when people see, for instance, a tuner car, or they see a muscle car, they see a hot rod, or they see whatever, are there certain expectations that they apply to you and say, hey, you know what? I expected you to be the kind of guy that would cause trouble. Do you see a lot of that too? Or is it more like if it's a car scene, it's just accepted?
I feel like the car scene's so diverse now that you can't really make the assumption. But, you know, 10 years ago, if you couldn't speak Spanish and you were trying to buy a rotary part, you know, you were screwed. So it goes with the same thing, you know. I can't tell you how many how many Hispanic people are trying to get forced to say, oh, you only drive an RX-7 or you only drive a Toyota Corolla. And it's pushing people away from even buying those cars at this point. The stereotypes have gone so far that, you know, people just assume everything's inobtainable.
Yeah. It's funny because I watched some of the Japanese car culture over there, and a lot of people will tell me, you know, the Japanese guys drive the NSXs, the RX-7s, the Skylines, even like the Datsun stuff. And it was funny because they have a huge lowrider community over there.
They really do.
Is a totally, I mean, it's not that new. It's been around for a while, but people don't see it. It doesn't get out as much. And I don't know how to kind of make people aware of that. How do you get people into a culture that's like they've never been into? Do you know what I mean? How do you share that? Anybody?
I feel like social media was a huge part of that.
Right. Yeah,
and 10 years ago, when social media wasn't really around, it was another thing where you just couldn't find people in the community. You actually had to get out and meet people, and you kind of made those assumptions yourself.
Right. And remember, guys, if you have any input, it's an open forum. I want anybody to just give me the stuff. In other words, just start talking and you know, amongst yourselves, and making sure that, but more and more info that we can get. I want to hear your input. Vinny, with yours, you guys have had meets and gatherings where you've had people from here all the way pretty much around the world, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, every February we do the well, actually, I shouldn't say that. This year it was in March, but we do the gathering of the clubs, basically all the bigger hot rod clubs from New England. But then we also get the Torkers out of Canada, and then the Goons out of Ireland come over too, and they all come and hang out for sorry, my wife just poked her head up. But yeah, I mean, and we all get together, and then what's cool about it is other than hanging out with people from all over the world, but you hear of like the bigger clubs that have chapters on the West Coast, and they say something like this would never really happen out there because the clubs don't hang out. You go to the car shows, and it's like this club's tent and this club's tent, and they're not talking to each other, and then you got this club's tent and they're not talking to them. So do you know why that is? I have absolutely no idea, but I hear it every year at the gathering. A new club will come and they'll say, oh wow, our chapter from California or our chapter from Washington State or wherever, anywhere on the West Coast, doesn't do that. They can't do that. So I honestly don't know why. But it's something that what was this, the 6th one, and we didn't have one because of COVID. So
yeah, you
technically
missed the COVID,
would have been like the 7th year for it. And it's everybody has fun. Everybody all know each other. I mean, we all go to each other's shows. So it's just cool.
What is there a difference between what kind of the Ireland guys and then obviously the Canada guys and all those people from those places that are kind of, I mean, most people would say that's, really broad reach. Is there anything that they bring new to the table that you kind of don't see
No,
out
I
very
mean,
often?
No, because I mean we're all hot rod guys. We all basically drive old American cars, trucks. But I mean, other than like the specific rules, like I guess Canada, you can't have, and you have to have fenders. You can't do a hot rod with no fenders.
Right.
So when they come down, they get to see like a traditional hot rod with no fenders and no hood running down the street, or they get to somebody says, "Oh yeah, let's go for a ride," and then they get to drive it. Like that's cool to them, but like because that doesn't happen up there. Same thing like I actually in 2019 I went to the car show out in Ireland that the Goons hosted, and there was like this crazy Volkswagen Beetle that was there, and I guess the guy had to like trailer it there because he couldn't really drive it on the Ireland roads. It wasn't legal, but it was one of those I guess they call them like a Volks rod, slammed to the ground, chopped, no fenders on it,
Front engine.
Yeah, it was like crazy thing.
That's up my alley.
It was almost like that one. I don't know if you've seen it. The one from New Hampshire that's up here in New Hampshire. It's got a Hemi in it. Have you seen that one?
I have seen that.
Yeah, I actually walked. I ran into a show. Like we were up here shopping because we was coming up here with the family, and we were shopping, and there was a car show in the back of the shopping center, and I walked over, and that car was like just way in the back corner. Like the guy was just sitting by himself, like. And I went over and I'm like drooling over this car because I've never, ever in my life expected to see a car like that in New Hampshire.
There's some gems hidden out there.
So
I'm
it was
up north all the time. There's some gems hidden out there.
It was crazy. It was cool. And then all of a sudden, like I get home and I like send a couple of pictures out of it that I took. And then I start seeing the thing everywhere, like all over YouTube, all over Instagram. Like this thing's just like all over the place. I'm like, hey, I just saw that car at a show on accident that I didn't even know about. And the guy that built it was pretty cool. Like we said, we chatted for a while. I can't remember his name. I'm absolutely terrible with names, but no, it was wicked cool to see up here. But sorry, I got off subject. It was like that, but in Ireland, and I guess they can't have stuff like that there. So yeah, I mean. There are different things from the different countries, but it's all, for the most part, the same culture. They all like rockabilly music. They all like punk rock. It's all the same stuff. All American, old American muscle, or old American hot rods, all American engines for the most part. There's a couple of Lexus engines, which was pretty cool. My buddy Joe from the Goons. I honestly don't know what kind of car it is, but he's got a Lexus engine in it, and the thing sounds incredible.
Oh yeah,
I just love
that.
I love the sound of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. That engine. Yeah.
It was fun. It was funny, by the way, when Mark asked me about, he goes, "I have that engine for sale." Donnie is the guy that I first called to say, "Do you want the engine, or is there somebody you can give it to?" And he was like, "I couldn't find anybody right then." But Denny, now you've been really quiet over there, hiding in the corner. You can't do that. Now you doing the stuff with the Jeep community and stuff like that. Do you see anything with that kind? Is there different kinds of communities down there, or do you find it's kind of merged together like we're seeing up here?
It was all merged back when I had the Jeep, and because that was how we got the word out. It wasn't social media. It was there, but it wasn't like how it is now. We're still doing old school word of mouth, going out, riding around together, and groups. And we had the groups that was all Dodge Chargers. There's the groups that was all Hondas.
I didn't even realize, Alan.
Sorry, Denny. But no, ours was all
It was merged, and we
Yeah.
didn't keep it separate from anybody.
Good. So yeah, do you see that more? Is there more of us trying to come together as a car community as a whole and trying to, I think, break down these barriers? Oh, by the way, and I just Dude with Wrenches said, "How we all doing tonight? We're doing great." Franchise Fair with a hey all. What's up, buddy? Good to see you tonight. Franchise couldn't come on. Joel, we tried to get Joel on tonight, but Joel's at a reunion, so I'll give him a shout out. Hopefully he'll see it. But do we see more of these communities trying to, even in the stuff that's kind of torn us apart? I think we're seeing more and more of things really trying to pull us back together. Is that what you're seeing?
I'm seeing it more in the bigger cities, not where I'm currently living at now in
Okay.
Arkansas.
Got it.
But in the bigger cities, yeah, it's still trying to, I wouldn't say separate and divide, but more of it's slowly coming back together.
Yeah.
And there's more and more of the car shows starting to come back around versus, well, we can't hang out no more. Because, like he was saying, with the different chapters of car clubs, where none of them even talk. I have several different chapters with my car club, but all of the presidents of their own chapter still calls. We still talk to each other. We still all try to play by the same rules. But it's more of now the temperament of the cities allowing it. Because where I live at, if you go up and down the main street more than 3 times cruising, you're gonna get pulled over.
Wow. Okay.
There's a
Now,
lot
do
of
they
stick-
say? Do they say why?
It's they basically trying to say it's a city ordinance for 'em.
Oh wow.
So
It's
in my
crazy.
town specifically, we have a noise ordinance, but only in the historic area of town. I have an electric cutout on the Supra, and I legitimately have to close it, or I will get pulled over just for driving through downtown. And that's one single half-mile road. You know, I live in my town's probably 4 square miles.
Yeah, I just find it funny that we live in these areas where the places with the most noise are the places with the worst noise ordinances, and it's like your standard ambulance can make enough sound to blow out an eardrum, and people don't realize
Easily.
it. But that's the thing is in your Honda that makes, at most, what is it, 80, 90 decibels, and I mean that's really pushing it. That's the car that everybody calls on. Like if you
Yeah.
drive
Oh,
by
I
in a
know.
Harley, nobody cares. It's a Harley, no big deal. Expect
We
it.
actually have a motorcycle ordinance as well.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, boy.
It started motorcycles, and it was just due to motorcycles driving by through town, shaking glass on windows. You know.
Yeah, we got to do
I
that
think,
decibel test thing, Donnie. Go ahead.
Oh, I
think-
am about it.
I think when you drive over the Newport Bridge, isn't there like a sign on the other side of the bridge or something that says something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 85 decibels.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's actually a
That's the
sign
town
on
in
the other.
Newport as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
I live in Bristol, and through
Yeah,
Bristol,
that's what I
they have a
said.
90 decibel limit.
That's funny because that's what I said when you were talking. I said, "What do you live in Bristol?"
Yep, I do.
My in-laws have a beach house in Warren, and I can't really take my truck there
No,
because I have to go through Bristol.
you will 100% get pulled over.
Yeah.
Go down the main
Yeah.
road, you'll be okay.
Yeah, Metacom
Your
Ave.
truck will probably be okay. They care more about me with my fart can
Right.
on the back of it and
Right,
right.
than anything. So
than my
But,
Chevy 350 pushing straight exhaust.
well, that is one thing that I always see, and especially when it comes to it's not everybody, so I don't want to say it like that, but when you go to some of the big meat shows, and you guys tell me if you heard anything different from what you've heard, is I hear a lot of people that say, we should have these meets and they should be only for old cars, and any of these new cars, especially the retro stuff, they're like, we shouldn't allow it. And it's funny because we used to have these big meets down in Plymouth, Mass. And I remember when the Fast and Furious had been out for a couple of years. So I would say it was 2002, 2003. We started coming out to these meets and guys would bring newer cars out. And some of the older guys, the older car guys, if you will, not just, so if they were younger car guys that had old cars, they didn't say it, but the older car guys would come out and say, why are you guys letting these import guys and the guy had a Dodge Avenger, like it wasn't even an import. And he would say, why are you guys letting these guys in? Because, they're this, or they're going to mess with the show, or the show quality is dropped. Have you guys ever encountered that? Or is that something?
I encounter that at almost every meet, but it has now gone from that to being a vehicle that's not modified.
Right. So is there a
everybody,
reason? I
feel like everybody in this new generation really just wants a participation trophy for whatever,
Yeah.
And I hate to have to put it like that, but I really do.
That is the correct way to put it, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be mean or anything. I've been drinking all afternoon, so I'm trying not to be mean. But I feel like it's gone to everybody wanting to get something out of it as opposed to doing it for the right reason. If you had watched my newest video on YouTube, I had somebody comment something that they didn't like what I was doing to my car, and within the first 15 seconds, I went on a spiel about how you should be building your car for yourself. Right. And I feel like more people should think to build their cars for themselves and not care about anybody else's car. I'm a true car guy. I like absolutely everything. Anything with four wheels, and I have respect for anything, whether it's my taste or not. But we've been seeing a lot more, like I said, it's been the unmodified stock vehicle now has been the issue.
Well, one of the things that there was, I don't know if you guys knew about this, but there was a couple of things happened over the last weekend that was crazy. And then all the drama happened on Monday morning. All these people started talking about stuff. I was trying to get ahead of it. And I guess there was a show that was giving out trophies to people that had basically like favoritism. So this car would come out every week, and if it came out every week, it would get the best of category for whatever it was in the show. And everybody pushed back saying, hey, my car, I brought this car and it was definitely better than the car that won, and you showed some sort of favoritism. And then it was an undeserving title to get the trophy. And I thought that was quite the conundrum, because it really was in two areas of that seesaw, and everybody had something to say that was either like, you got to just believe in the show and the show gives the trophies the way they feel, or one person saying, look, if you go to a show for a trophy, you're going for the wrong reasons, and all the stuff that came in. I mean, is that part of this equation? Is it about the trophy hunters and the people that are just, hey, I just want to go out and have fun in a show. Let's not hang out with the people that are trophy hunting, or the clout chasers, or the people that want to be IG famous, or any of that kind of stuff? Is there any separation there?
I feel like people have been taking the YouTube and the Instagram side of everything way too seriously, and people legitimately build cars now for YouTube and for Instagram. And I mean, I personally think that's the wrong reason. You should be building it, like I said, for yourself. But I see it left and right. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, Joe, you just came in, so no, go ahead, Denny. You had your hand up. Let's do it.
You got to look at the show. If it's a point show where that car's winning, and you come in with your car, well, your car's better, but that car still won. It might be one of those shows where it's points, and it's a series of shows, and you show at one time. Which I've been in those shows. I've been that guy that showed up and was like, well, shit, I didn't win a damn thing, and my car was 10 times better than that other car. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But then they realized, oh, it's a whole series of shows. The reason why that car keeps winning every week.
Right. And that's the thing is it's his, like, for me, I just really, I choose to go to a show, or I choose not to go to a show. And usually if I'm choosing not to go to a show, it's either because I don't have time, or it's because of a show that's commonly being broken up by police, or somebody's running it in a way that I think is going to be, I'm definitely biased when it comes to shows that are going to be broken up, or if the ownership doesn't take responsibility. I think where I'm going there. Like, if somebody shows up and they say, you guys aren't supposed to be here, you're not supposed to do that, and it's my show, I'm going to go over and I'm going to be like, this is exactly why we're here. This is where we're at, and we're not leaving. And that's that. And then there's other people that will, oh, the cop showed up. Let's break it all up and let's drive to the next spot. And I'm like, I I can't do that stuff. You know, I've never been able to do it.
Those shows, I never considered those shows when I went to
Yeah,
them.
right.
Because you
Yeah,
knew the cops was going
100%.
to come break it up anyway from the get go. That's one of them
The-
shows where it's like, hey, we're
the
going to
take-
go cruise and
the
park here.
takeovers. The
Yeah.
takeovers. They're not
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
They're takeovers.
The takeover thing is a separate issue on its own. I could go
Right.
nuts with that one.
Mhm.
And it's
Sounds
I
bullshit,
drift on the
because
track, man. Those things, all they do is hurt me.
all it does is gives a bad name to the car community,
The car community
and,
themselves.
and all of us that are just trying to have a good time, show off our stuff, whether it's stock or built, and just have a good time. And takeovers coming out, just ripping donuts. Hey, listen, I love donuts. I love revving.
Well, me
hitting
too, but I
two-step,
stick it
stuff
to the
like
track.
that. There's a time and place for that shit.
100%. And
And
when I was
no
16,
good.
I
And
learned
that's
that.
where the big stereotype comes from, right there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, I think when it comes to that, it's all about control. So when I did have pop-up meets, and I'll be honest, and this was way early, like probably 2000s to whatever. And see, that's the thing is people don't realize back in the 80s and 90s, we always met at whatever the strip was. And we did that every week. Like you were guaranteed, like even later through the 90s, I remember we had what's called the waterfront, and they had this big area that was a big jetty. It was a parking area. And once a week, you were guaranteed to get everybody down there. But there was a certain level of control and expectation. In other words, people would go down there and they would do drugs and stuff like that. That stuff happened. But the thing is nobody did burnouts. Nobody did this other stuff. And there came a point when the cops you zoned in, this was your spot, and everybody that was in it was acceptable. And as long as nobody caused fights or trouble, it was always acceptable. So that stuff really died off later on. And we moved into the 2000s. And then at that time, I tried to build stuff up, and I did these pop-up meets, but I always had permission from whoever the manager of the building was. We always told people what the expectation was. If you come out and you're doing burnouts, you're getting ejected. The only guy that ever did really burnouts was the guy that lived next door, and not much I can do about him. He never actually came to the show, which is why he did it the way he did it, which was fun. But
he's doing it in his front yard. I mean,
yeah, he's doing it in front yard.
He's
not even.
Everybody likes a good burnout.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
The funny thing was he always did the burnout in a way so it was like he hasn't even been to our show. Like he's literally that's his house, and the cops knew it, so they're like they can't do anything. They're like he's there,
right.
He's there. If he's going to show off, he's going to show off. But it was the thing is, I hate to say it, it was kind of fun. But but that was the thing is we never had those issues, and now it seems like the people that took that torch didn't do that. They didn't get permission. They had no control over the people that were showing up for their event, and those events did go south. They did go bad. They weren't. You know what I mean? They fell apart, and that was the problem. So, is that you guys' experience?
I feel like that's the main issue in at least the like import or tuner side of everything right now is nobody has enough respect anymore to go and get permission to use a lot. Mm-hmm. It could be something as quick as a phone call that could get you, permission all night to do whatever you want, be nice about it. But even when you do something like that, I've noticed that everybody else wants to be cheap when they come in. Nobody wants to support the place that they got the permission for or anything like that. Respect has gone out the window in the car community, in my opinion, at least with the younger crowd.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I won't even name any names, but I heard recently, I watched the whole thing go down on Facebook. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But there was a spot that people had permission to do donuts. They had permission to do burnouts. They had permission to do two-step contests.
Yeah.
And it was ruined by a bunch of other dumb shit that was unrelated to car stuff. And they all got kicked out. Cops showed up, the whole nine, and everybody got in trouble. And it got shut down. Where at a place they had permission to do all the shit that you want to do, you still screwed it up.
And that's the thing is for those
what are you doing?
For that, like in other words, if you that number one, somebody
I know what they were doing. I wasn't. If I say what it was, it's too specific to the situation.
But it's back to who has the control. Do you know what I mean? Like if you really have control, if somebody's doing something you can't control? And if that's true, then why are they on your, like I said, Dad was doing the burnouts. He was across the street. There's nothing I can do, but they come and talk to me. I'm like, you know who's doing it. And that's it. They're just like, yeah, how's it going? You know? And they always knew we had permission versus did you have the control you needed? But anyway, Denny, you were going to say something. I wanted to hear your input there.
Yeah, sorry.
A lot of it now, because a lot of the parking lots are they're not vacant like they used to be.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s. Now it's some holding company, and the owners of the property actually lives in another country. They have no clue. So it's harder to try to get permission now. A lot of it, you used to go to the store manager and be like, hey, can we use your parking lot tonight? We're going to support your business. We're going to make everybody rich because I'm going to have about 300 cars here in about 2 hours, if it's okay. Right. To now it's like, well, we got to get a hold of the property owner, and they're only available from 8 to 2 on Monday, Wednesdays, and sometimes on Friday.
Yeah.
And we just can't give you permission no more.
Yeah. Do you have insurance? Do you have a detail? Do you have
exactly.
Right.
But well, I had a lady one time, this is like 5 or 6 years ago, and she had done some really cool meets. She did a meet at it was a parking garage. So it's kind of like no brainer, right? We already got the stuff here. She asked for permission. She asked, is you guys insured? Is this okay to have it here? And one reason they were doing it is because it was a parking area that was kind of off the beaten path that nobody knew you could use it as a parking garage. Like it had the little stinger and everything on it. So she went in, she had the badge to make the sign lift up and everything. I remember the guy giving her permission. We go to the event. I always have the scanner on, and I knew there was one guy that showed up. I wish I could say his name because he does it every show. He comes out, instead of going in the show, he sits outside doing burnouts. So he burns out one way and then burns out going the other way. And I'm like, okay, well, it won't be long until they show up. So I have my scanner on. Of course, the cops show up. They talk to her, and then they say, we need to call the owner of the building. So they call him, and I'm listening to it on the scanner, and he's like, no, we never gave them permission to be there. And then they kicked them all out. And I'm like, really? Why did you, you could have just, it would have been easy just to say like, yeah, we gave permission there. If they're causing trouble, which they would have said, it's not them, it's some guy over here. But yeah, you could say, hey, you guys are, kind of fueling the fire here. Would you mind breaking it up? It's been 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever, which I think everybody would have been okay. But to say, we never gave you permission, that's kind of, it's kind of shady.
I've been to some of those sanctioned car shows.
What was that, Danny?
I've been to some of those sanctioned car shows where it's happened at.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's all over the flyer.
There's always
we're doing it here to sit there and go, well, no, y'all got to leave. We didn't give permission.
Right.
It takes one asshole. It takes one asshole to ruin the party for everybody.
It really does.
Yeah.
And
Joe, were you getting arrested?
Yeah, somebody's getting arrested tonight.
It's always Joe's house. He's been out street racing. And he jumped into the show, and then he's "Oh, they're on to me." So, Vinny,
street racing my stock Cadillac ATS.
Right, yeah. Vinny, you've been over in the corner being quiet. You got any input on any of this?
Not really. I've been to I went to one pop-up meet, and that's literally because it was like 10 feet from my house, and it was supporting, they were trying to support a coffee shop near my house, which I mean, I love coffee, I love cars.
That's enough there, yeah.
So
yeah, that's a win in my book.
So I went, but the lot for this coffee shop is literally about 5 cars can fit in the lot. So everybody started parking across the street, which was, I think it's a trucking company that owns the lot. So, and it's also borders an urgent care. So there were people running up and down the street doing burnouts. They were they were part of that pop-up though. So I can't fault the police for coming or anything like that. It was all, they did it to themselves. but again, I was roped into that, so we all had to get going. But I mean, I honestly don't know if they were writing tickets, but it's funny because like all Honda Civics, all Volkswagen Jettas and stuff like that, leaving. Then you got my hot rod going the other way, and the cops didn't even turn their head to look at me. They still watching the Honda Civics and everybody else leaving.
Well, they know where you live. So.
Right. I mean, yeah, it was in my town, so I mean, it's not like they were probably like, oh yeah, he's going right there. So, but I mean, I also do what I can to support my town. So there's a creeps plaque that hangs from the back of my hot rod. We do when we can small business, enforcement, anything like that. So we do try and keep the name clean, even though the name of the car club is the Creeps. But we do a lot. We are
very proud low lifes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we even did a benefit show. We donated the dunk tank for a benefit show and helped set up the car show side of a benefit for a Cumberland police officer that had that had cancer. We helped. We did a bunch of stuff, bikers against child abuse. So. Oh boy.
That was the thing is I think that would change a lot of stuff that's going on with our car community too. People are asking me, how do we change the stereotype? And that's one thing. And I'm glad you brought it up because I originally had it written down, but I didn't think about it. Was that if you want to change the stereotype, then you have to start supporting things like charities or supporting regional things. So one thing that I always talked about with any of the car clubs and crews that I was with was I said every time that they ever have something that's supported in the town, and it's not just car shows. If it's something that supports the charities, a food bank, supports a church organization, supports the local raffle or anything like that, we need to have our cars there and we need to be making a difference. And if we're there and we're making a difference, those stereotypes start to really go away. You can't, even if you're a shady import tuner guy, if you're going out to a car show and supporting a charity or supporting a local food bank or whatever, it's very hard for people to say, oh, that's a bad group, because somebody, especially like when you have a mayor or you have a chief of police or somebody like that, especially like from we do Mission 22, every time we ever talk to a police officer or anybody that's ever done anything with us to like details or anything, they're like, we love you guys. You guys don't do anything bad. You're supporting a veteran charity that we love. And we would always love to be there to kind of support you. Now, obviously, I don't want to speak for anybody. If you guys want to ask them. But yeah, like I said, I've never seen anything negative being said because we keep doing that. So, I mean, to you guys, have you had experience like that? Can you think that's a good way of kind of changing our community? Go ahead, Joe.
First off, I can't take Reggie. I don't know. Every week.
Therapy is the answer.
Uncle Reggie up in the camera like this.
Right. Yeah.
This is Reggie.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Reggie.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I got the mustache to do it.
Dude, we could connect these two. That'll be one face right there on the right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. All right,
you can't do it.
You got to squint though. I hit the button.
So do we? So these car meets, these cars and coffees, and everything that we try to do, do we just start making them like invite only, and we hide where it'll be and shit like that? Like, I know that stop the, because you still probably get a shithead that'll show up and
that's the problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a weird easy solution to this.
Go ahead, Danny.
And it's not hiding the invites or making it invite only. If you do invites, the first invite should actually be to the police.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you got some of these police departments now have cars, especially for DARE and just community relations.
Yeah. There you go.
They actually will
There's
invite. They'll
monster
be like, "Oh yeah,
friggin'
we're all
bars
on
in
that."
Cranston, man. Yeah,
Mhm.
I like that. I like that. That's a smart idea. But how many, of the car community, I mean, is really going to accept that? Like,
I accept
because
it.
they're trying to do illegal shit.
The younger of the car community, I think, has a huge problem with it, and it goes back to being a respect issue once again.
Right.
It's pretty easy to not walk around and not smoke weed and not drink beers in the public and not do burnouts and not
what?
two-step all day. Like
Right.
it's really not hard, and it all comes down to respect of the property owner, the respect of the property owners, respect of whoever's running the meet, respect of the police, respect of the public.
Mhm.
It comes down to a huge lack of respect. And,
Yeah, just basic respect.
the car
I
community's
don't think
slowly been going down the drain, especially up here. I wouldn't say the car community is, but the car meet and the car show community is.
Where you at, brother? I missed it in the beginning.
So everything's just going downhill because of a lack of respect, and that's just in the short. Nobody really has enough respect anymore, and it's just the younger kids,
But
you
I
go to
see it
Bass
more
Pro
with
Shop every other Thursday,
right,
and it's super organized. There's never any problems,
right.
But it's a majority of an older crowd that was grown up to learn to respect people, respect.
But I think even that, because that's the other thing. There's two things. They have the DJ there that's old school. They also have it's a food drive event. So people that are going for a charity thing, there is this certain expectation, and also that when you go there, you say, this is the thing that's important, and if it's important, I don't want to destroy it. So how do you make your events important? I think it still goes back to that charity mindset, and where Denny was putting in input, I just love that idea of, you know what, hey, officers, we're going to have this meet. Transparency is an amazing. Once you put sunlight to something, it will definitely disinfect it. So every time you go, hey, police guys, you guys have this thing that you guys are doing. Maybe it's DARE, maybe it be whatever. I want you guys to come out to our show. You can have a free booth. You can set up however you want. And I want you guys to be able to show off whatever you guys need to show off to the community. Maybe have a discussion. Hey, if you want to preach to us about street racing, go for it. Whatever it is. And we just go, okay, cool. We'll listen to it. And
hey, listen, police, bring down your shitty Dodge Chargers. Come on.
Hey, there's quite a few that are car guys.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
He's a Brown police officer, but he's the same jurisdiction as a Providence police officer. He's got a boosted C5 Corvette.
Right.
He's a super cool dude. He's super respectful, and I've met him on the good end and I've met him on the bad end because I used to literally live on the block that he patrolled.
Right.
Hey, nothing like getting pulled over by a car guy.
Right.
Hey, it's nice. The last cop that pulled me over was a car guy, and the first words he said to me were, "I'm surprised you didn't run from me." And he did not know my Supra was not boosted.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you not taking off. Like,
nice literally, it's what he said. He goes, "I know this thing is fast enough. You could have ran from me."
Right. Well, one thing that we've seen recently, and I don't know if anybody's seen it in the news, is the EPA kind of got their hands swatted for trying to renegotiate how cars are treated in the world. In other words, this is they're trying to get rid of basically fossil fuel. It is what it is. So, but they weren't allowed to do the things that they were doing. So they kind of got corrected on it. But one of the things that we run into is that still doesn't stop, I don't want to say legislation. So that still doesn't stop legislation when it comes to how people determine the rules for how we interact with our community. And I think some of those rules, if you have somebody that is on your team that is always supporting the entire group and saying, you know what, guys, these guys are always good guys. And if something gets brought up for legislation and they say, hey, I'm going to call Primo on the phone and ask him what does he think about this legislation? And the reason they're going to call me is because they know the events that I'm involved with, the things that I do, everything. We try to keep it as straight and reasonable as possible. And then when they ask me and they go, do you think that we should get rid of inspection? Do you think that we should get rid of the front plate? Do you think we should do all this other stuff? That they're gonna ask, and we could get some of these rules shot down before they got started because they said, you know what? I don't want to hurt the good guy that's helping us out, that's doing all these things for the community, that's part of the food drive, that's part of, whatever that charity that they're a part of. Once those guys get shot down, now you lose something, and they're not willing to lose that. I mean, is that any of this resounding, or is it stupid?
It is, but you're still gonna have that one that's gonna be totally against it, 100%.
Right? Yeah, you're always
and
gonna.
it's always for a stupid reason.
Right, but I'd rather have 4 guys against one than have 4 guys and one guy defend. If I'm doing this by myself, I got one guy I can change. But if I had everybody in here and it came up to a vote, and everybody in here is moving somebody towards and saying, "Hey, you know what? That thing about those import guys is a complete stereotype." Donnie came out and he gave all this stuff to the food bank. He gave, he had a car show, and $1,000 went towards a charity that supported us. And you know what? He's even been involved in community outreach, and he goes to everything, even if it's not whatever. And I'm not asking everybody to dedicate to a ton of things that they can't do what's within your means. But like I said, if you run a car club, if you have a group of people, there's always somebody that's available that you can trust, that can go represent you at everything out there, right?
Hey,
and that
quietest car show ever.
I like it.
EV car show.
Hey, some of those are cool, man.
Some of them, yes. Well, you saw
you
the new.
I
said some.
You saw the new Envision 7 from Hyundai, right?
So here.
Tell me nobody's excited. Everybody here's got to be excited about that.
I mean, to be completely honest, I could go for an EV, but you got to get me like a Tesla Plaid or something that's going to push me back in the seat, and I'm still not gonna know.
Hey, the Plaid lost at the Seekonk Speedway last week. I'm just saying.
Oh, I
posted it. Yeah.
T-Berg Media, man. He went viral with that. Which local got 2.2 million views.
Yeah, I was going to say it got over 2 million views.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's still going.
So like 2 weeks ago was the first time I've ever been in a Tesla.
Okay.
And my buddy, he pushed it. He hit hard.
They're quick, man.
Yep.
And I was like, the acceleration amazed me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like,
well, it's instant torque.
Yeah, and it was only down like a decent side street. Like, I'm like, dude, I will monster you. Like, if we had to go any further, like you're gonna take me off the line. Maybe I still got a good chance. All-wheel drive, I still might get a little bit on you. I was like, but you're gonna take off. But it was still fast, just
man. I never underestimate them. I'm telling you.
Right.
It was still underwhelming.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, you don't feel it shift. You don't hear the noise. You don't feel the vibrations. That's what driving a car is all about. The combustion engine is what driving a car is all about. If you can't feel the car that you're driving, I don't want to be in it.
Right.
I wouldn't go out and spend $90,000, $100,000, $110,000 for a Tesla Plaid, whatever it is. There's better ways for me to spend that money, in my opinion.
To feel nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll feel the G's pulling you back.
Oh, the G's. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is the thing is the more electric cars are out there, the less they're going to be. But it has to take consumer. There's too much change going on with it right now, especially like, okay, we're going to do hydrogen, or we're going to do electric, or we're going to do all this other stuff. And it's like, I look at it and I go, I love them. I think they're great, but they has to be controlled at a market level. And right now it's being pushed. And when you push people, especially in America, they push back. And that's, I think, where we get a lot of this stuff. If it was just let it go, let it flow, let it do its thing, and it'll just catch on, and we'll work on the infrastructure, we'll work on things, and then it'll actually work out okay. But that way we can still drive our old trucks and old cars and hot rods and all this other stuff while we enjoy our daily commuter car that, and that's the thing, is it's all about cost. If you tell me that it's this much to charge versus this much for gas, that stuff's going to come back. And right now, I think the reason a lot of people accept it too is because they get the bonuses. In other words, they get the refunds and all that stuff. They're not in it. It's like, are you are you in it for the environment? No, you're in it for the better parking.
No,
so
exactly.
So when
You're
stuff
in it for the
starts,
front parking spot at the mall and the free charger
Right.
at work and the
And-
$5,000 grant that you got from the government for buying
Right.
it. The
Yeah.
one problem that I have with the EVs is recycling them.
right.
Nobody thinks about it, but
Well,
right
everybody's
now-
going to have a problem when they have stuff like carbon tax and when they start taxing them in other places. I tell you one thing that my car can't do right now, it can't self-drive me to the tax man. So,
Yep.
you know.
I mean,
All
when
right.
it comes to getting rid of them in a junkyard,
Go ahead, Reggie.
It's not right.
If you have a fully electric car and somebody got enough guts to turn it into a lowrider with hydraulics, would it have to have more batteries?
Ooh.
That's
Yes.
a good question.
Yes, it would. It would have to have a secondary setup on it. I mean, it's all about how you put it together. And by the way, it's already exists. I've already seen it. But yeah, it's depending on how you do it.
Somebody
Everything
bring
runs
that
off
thing
of
up.
the
I got to
same
see
stuff.
it.
Yeah. But so we're at the hour mark right here. We did start a little late because our streaming service didn't like Donnie for some reason, and I don't.
Yeah.
It didn't like me either.
It wouldn't let my camera come in.
Right. So I want to thank everybody for
my
coming
fault.
out tonight.
And
Remember
let me
this-
and Reggie's ugly ass up in here, no problem.
Right.
It's okay, Don. I don't know you, but I'm glad we had you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I'll be
I'm
back to
glad
see you
that-
again. Don't worry.
I'm glad that it let you in here. Okay.
Oh, let me in the first time. You just couldn't see my
Glad.
pretty face.
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out to ECS Hangout tonight. Remember, this is every Saturday at 8 p.m. We talk about all the facets of the car community, shops, racing, anything retail, drift, drag, track racing, any of that stuff. We love it. We'd all like to have you out. As always, we're sponsored by Control Freak. That's controlfreakcompany.com. We're on Facebook, IG, YouTube, Twitter, all the major social platforms out there. Make sure that you check all those out. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit like buttons, hit follows, whatever you got to do to make sure you don't miss a single show. I want to thank everybody that's come on tonight. I want to thank Joe Farrow, Denny, Donnie Tsunami. Don't forget to check out his YouTube channel. Vinny from the Creeps, Reggie of ECS, always here. And again, I am your host, Primo. Do you have any closing thoughts for us tonight, Reggie?
Yes.
Is Thorazine kicking in?
Yes.
Okay.
I just drunk a lot of moonshine, so I'm gonna say this. All right.
Got
Let's go.
I love everybody in here, okay? and was all the sit together as one big family, no matter what the hell you drive, okay?
You sure about that? You did say that last time.
I love all of you guys, man.
Uncle Reggie, everybody, ECS Magazine, let's go.
So thank you guys for tuning in. This will be, don't forget, next Saturday, 8 p.m. We'll see you there. This has been ECS Hangout. You guys have a great night.
Peace.